Hey, you guys, I forgot to turn my Wi-Fi on, so I'm not really sure how far I got. What you guys will see. Hey, Sharon. I'm so glad you guys are here tonight. I know it's an hour and a half late, but what ended up happening was I have been a coach leader for my local West Nate Price chapter with another lady named Mary for 7 years. And in those 7 years, we have never had the opportunity to sit together at a booth. Mainly because, you know, one of us is busy or it just makes sense to send somebody else with one of us to go run a booth. It doesn't take both of us. And so today she had asked if any of the kids wanted to go sit with her. And I thought, well, I really want to go sit with you. I haven't had the opportunity in 7 years to sit at a booth with you. So that's what I did. That's why the class got moved. Yes, it said 5:15 as normal earlier today. And then I had to switch it last second because I thought, well, I got to take this opportunity because we won't always be chapter leaders together. Eventually, you know, people get old and I have to take over. So I had to take the opportunity while I could. So I'm so glad you guys are still here. We are going to be making a delicious Tuscan white bean soup tonight. I'm going to be adding chicken to it. It's actually a vegan recipe. Or not vegan, vegetarian. I don't know what that would be. No meat recipe. So vegan, right? Or vegetarian. So anyway, basically, I'm going to add chicken to it as I have in the past. And we're going to get to eating some delicious food. Right? Oops. Anyway, little Naomi went with me. And it was like, people thought she was just the cutest thing ever. So it worked out pretty well. Hey, Brie, can you come get her?
Yeah.
And then we're going to get started. So, for those of you guys that ordered the cookbook on pre-order, the printing of the cookbooks has already started. So, I'm hoping to have the cookbooks by sometime next week. We'll see. And then I'll be shipping them right to you. And if you missed out on the pre-order price, they're still a really good price. The books are $18.99 regular priced. That link is down below if you're interested. All right, let's start going here. Whoops. I had Nevaeh run out and get me some fresh celery from the garden. So that's going to be good in this recipe. And I've also made some tomato paste with the Azure Standard's tomato powder. So that's just simple as adding water and the powder and calling it good. So let's get started. So in this big old pot back here, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over medium heat and get some butter going. I'm going to say 2 tablespoons, but I usually do way more than that. We like our butter. I'm going to start getting it melting on the back there. I'm hoping that since we're doing this a little bit later that maybe more of you guys can jump on. Usually we have a handful of people that come, but maybe there'll be more people available tonight to watch. We'll just have to find out. All right, so the next ingredient, while that butter is melting, is an onion. This is probably worth 2 onions because it's an Azure onion, but I'm still going to put the whole thing in. I love the flavor of onion. And so if you're not a huge onion fan, you just want to do minimum, and you had a big Azure type onion, you sure could cut it in half, but I'm going to go for the whole thing tonight. So we had a lot of fun at the farmers market passing out a lot of brochures tonight. And Naomi did pretty well. It was actually really hot. I was shocked at how hot it was. It was only supposed to be a high of 76 today. And it was like all cloudy until we went and got on over to the farmers market. And then all of a sudden the clouds went away and we were all baking. Hey, Jenny. Like the later time, I was finally able to jump on. See, that's what I need to know, you guys. I know that some of you like the 5:15 slot because you're at a different time zone than me. But if you are watching this replay and it's because you can never make the 5:15 time, would you do me a favor and comment down below? Or if you're live on here and you can't ever make it, comment on down below. Because I need to know how I can reach the most people. And while it's nice that people watch my replays, I'd rather have people be able to watch live and be able to ask questions. So just give me some feedback if you would like to catch a live once in a while. And I'll take that into consideration. I'm going to go wash the onion off my hand. We're going to go to garlic here next. I'm excited to have the cost of the cookbooks be at $18.99 permanently, because I just want that cookbook to get out to more people. And I think as people are struggling, people aren't going to have as much money to spend on cookbooks. And so if I can get it into more people's hands, even with a bad economy, that's what I want to do. All right, so this garlic has like a little tiny yucky spot on it, so I'm going to chop that off. We need 6 cloves of garlic. this is like humongous here. So I always say if it's the size of your thumbnail, it's about the size of a clove of garlic. So this is about 2, maybe even 3. I got this huge garlic from Azure this last month. It's just ginormous. It does seem to be a little bit dated though, because when I go to remove the skins, they just kind of come right off. So quickly. That one is a bad clove. We're going to go to the next one. A couple years ago, I bought the 5 pounds of organic garlic from Azure, and that was a good deal, except for it went bad pretty fast. But a little special note, it is the end of August, almost September. So, community service announcement. If you have not started your fermented honey garlic, you need to start that. I do have a video up. It's like one of my very first videos, so you're going to have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. But it's so super, super easy. It's raw honey and garlic, and you just let it sit at room temperature. And that is an amazing tonic, because garlic is the strongest antibiotic on the planet. Nobody ever talks about it. In fact, the only actual cure for, starts with an S, it's that flesh rotting disease that you get into the hospital. Is actually garlic and onions. So, garlic is nice and powerful. And people underestimate it. But if you haven't started your fermented garlic yet, go back and watch my video. It's super, super easy. And you can take it for colds and flus. And right now is a good time to start tinctures. Also, I have a class up here on one of my very first, it actually is my very first video on how to make your own herbal medicinal cabinet, okay? So if you haven't done that yet, you need to. Hey, Jessica. I'm so glad everybody's here. I almost feel like this time works out better for everybody. In the summer, we're not eating usually until like 7:30 anyway. But in the winter, we eat early, so. All right, so that was 6 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of butter, and 1 yellow onion. We are sauteing over there. We are going to be adding kale. Now, I do have dehydrated kale. We don't need a ton of kale here. I tried to grow it, and those little white demon moths came and laid their pretty little eggs all over it. And anyway, we had an infestation, and pretty soon we had no kale. Just like I don't grow cabbage for the same reason. So, anyway, I bought some frozen stuff from Azure Standard. I think it came in a 3-pack. This doesn't have the price on it. I don't remember. But this is what I'm going to go with. I do have some dried kale that I've also used in the past. And I need to use that up as well. But I thought I'll just do the easy thing and do the frozen stuff for tonight. Alright, so we are just sauteing away. It was a nice day. It was just hot at the farmer's market. But we did have, Mary told me that she had some older people that just kept walking by her booth in the past. But when they came today and they saw Naomi, they stopped. Because Naomi's just so cute. So it worked out for everybody. Okay, so while this is simmering, let's talk about that. Layla? Layla asked if I have any recipes that use the fermented garlic. So, this is my fermented garlic. This is probably going to gross you out. Because this is like 2 years old. Still good. It's black. Okay. So, this whole jar was full of raw honey. And then, well, actually I filled it up with garlic first. And then poured the raw honey over top of it. And then you just let it set at room temperature. If the garlic floats, that's fine. If it sinks, it's fine as well. So, what you do is, if you have little kids and they can't, like, if you're an adult, you can totally just take one of these garlic cloves and swallow it. You could chop it up like a pill and swallow it. I know that sounds yucky, but actually it becomes quite sweet when it's marinating inside the honey. It kind of takes the zing out of garlic. So if you can convince your kids to eat the chunks, that's the best because it's going to have everything in it, but it does infuse the honey quite a bit with its natural properties. So for everybody else, you can just have them eat the honey off of the spoon. Usually people say 2 garlic cloves a day. If you're really coming down with something or you're fighting bronchitis, pneumonia, something where you actually go in and get antibiotics, you would want to up this to about 3 to 4 cloves a day. But it works. It will knock stuff out. And this stuff is so old, I should just make a new batch because it's like the garlic's turned black after 2 years. But another thing you can use to cook with it is if you make homemade pizzas, this honey sauce is amazing on the crust. So you could put like regular tomato sauce in the middle and then, you know, do your toppings and everything. And then on the crust or on the outside, just kind of like take a barbecue brush and brush it with this honey garlic mixture. It's very, very good, and it's like a sweet but garlicky taste. It's good, although if you're not going to consume it right out of this jar, you're going to be losing a lot of medicinal properties, but it's a way to use up the honey that's inside this jar. And we do it quite a bit when we had pizza in the past on breadsticks. Tastes amazing. So anyway, the full video on how to do this is all the way down one of the first videos on my page, so you have to check that out. But I always remind everyone on the channel, it's the end of August. It's time to get your medicinal cabinet going. We need our tinctures made. Those take 6 weeks. And then this needs to sit. So check out those 2 videos. They're the very, very first videos here on the channel. And it's free information for everyone. I am not monetized, so if you're watching me right now, I'm not making any money. I'm just sharing the truth. Also, special note, this Saturday is my fermentation class. I'm going to be doing a fermentation class locally here at one of the churches, so there's going to be a group of people there learning, and I thought it'd be super, super fun to use the Wi-Fi there so I can do a live just like this, so that you guys, whoever's having questions about fermenting, can learn how to ferment as well. So that event is up on the page. That is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time this Saturday, so keep your eyes out. All right, we are almost ready to roll here. If you're in a pinch, you could just use raw garlic if you didn't ferment it. But obviously, this is going to be a lot spicier than something that's been soaking in honey. So just keep that in mind. If you don't think ahead, you can still use this, but make sure you eat something with it or it'll make your stomach upset because it's just so, so strong. So crackers or just a light snack, really, with your raw garlic. But if you think ahead now and you get on it, you will have enough tinctures and basic herbal supplies to last you all winter, which is what we want to do. We want to think ahead, and that the very, very first video on this channel covers the basic tinctures that you should have and where to buy ingredients, and I show a demonstration on how to do it. It's not hard at all, but it's something that everybody should have in their house. And then if you decide to get some of the books that are recommended in that class, then you can make more and more tinctures and know where to buy everything and feel more confident using natural herbal remedies. So like I said, that's the very, very first video here on my channel. Check it out. All right, this is sauteed. It's ready to go, so we're going to add in the next ingredients. So we are going to add in some broth. Actually, what I'm going to add in first is my fermented beans. I got to let the pressure out of my pressure cooker here real quick. I made mullein and olive leaf today. Hey, good job. Yeah, it's all about thinking ahead with those herbal remedies because it does take 6 weeks for most stuff to be ready to be used. I'm going to grab my beans out of the Instant Pot. I did it this way because, just in case you're new here, I buy dry beans, okay? And then I soak them and then I ferment them. I do have videos up on the channel about how to do this. It's a way to fill up your family faster and unlock all the nutrients of the food that you're buying. So this is, let's see, 8 cups of fermented white beans. And then I submerged it in 6 cups of broth. Hey, Rhonda. Yes, Jessica, it's so much easier than what you ever could think. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the pot. These beans were just cooked on the chili function because I was gone, so I just quickly pushed it. But typically you can reduce the cooking times on your Instant Pot by 3 to 5 minutes depending on the bean that you soaked and fermented, so they even cook up faster. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and estimate here. I'm going to add in between 4 and 5 cups of broth. I'm just going to eyeball it. There we go. Let's try that. How many beans? So the beans were 8 cups of fermented beans. So I ferment mine all at once, put them into the freezer, and then I measure that out. So that's where that measurement's coming from. 8 cups, and then I put them in the Instant Pot with 6 cups of broth. And I just dumped the whole thing in here. No sorting, just dump it on in. And like I said, I added about 4 to 5, possibly 6 cups of broth into here. We're going to see how much we need once we add the rest of our ingredients. All right, next ingredient is kale. I'm going to be using this. This is 7 ounces of kale. If you have fresh kale out into your garden that's not being eaten alive by demon moths, help yourself. One of these years I'm going to wage a war on the demon moths. You need about 3 cups of kale, okay? But this year was not the year for me to wage a war on the demon moths. I think what I'm going to do is build a enclosure made out of wood and then like patio screen, and then like it's like a little cube for the cabbages to grow in, and no demon moths. That's my plan. We'll see if it works. I've tried the netting that goes over top of the cabbages. We get like 50 to 75 mile an hour winds here a lot, and that stuff just gets ripped to shreds. So I'm going to regain some sort of a knowledge of what I'm going to do, come up with a plan, and then we're going to have a war. All right, next ingredient is celery. 2 celery stalks. I'm actually going to do 3 because these are kind of shorter ones from what you would get to the store. So I'm going to chop them on up and add them to the pot. I don't know. I was spraying my cabbages down with a mixture of like fertilizer, fish meal, and stuff like that, and then adding raw sugar to the spray. And that does work. I mean, because the little cabbage worms will eat the cabbage, and they'll eat the sugar, and then their stomachs will explode, and they'll die, which is great. But you have to remember to spray, like, multiple times a week. And like I said, my life this year with a baby, there's just no way I would have remembered, and it all would have went. Right now, my garden it's really bad. I've got weeds that are taller than me, so, yeah, we're going to have to get out there and, like, take the weed eater in there or something. Just to be able to find the food that's left that's out there. It's pretty far gone at this point. Okay, so that was 2 celery stalks, well 3 in my book. It was 3 cups of kale. We had about 4 to 5, maybe 6 cups of broth in here. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. This is the tomato paste that I made using the Azure Standard powder. I love that stuff. The more I cook with it, the more I love it. I'm going to be making barbecue sauce with it. And if things allow me to, I do plan to record that. I just want to show you guys how easy it is to make canned goods with that Azure Standard tomato powder. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. So, hey, I got the numbers from last week. So let's talk about that. Actually, let's do this first. Let's finish our recipe and then we'll talk about the numbers. I calculated how much it was for that homemade ketchup. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we've got basil. We need a half a teaspoon. Just going to eyeball it. And then half of a teaspoon of oregano. The pot is now over high heat so that we can bring this up to a boil and get our vegetables cooking. All right, next ingredient is thyme. We need 2 teaspoons, so I'm just going to empty out what's left in here. Okay, bay leaf. We need 2. Bay leaves are on my next Azure order already because I'm almost out. And then I got to go grab some carrots out of my refrigerator. And we're going to get to chopping them. So we need 4 large carrots. I'll be right back. I'm going to give these a wash. These are the Azure Standard #2 carrots, so they're kind of funky shaped anyway. Still delicious, still very, very sweet and full of flavor. But like, there's like a magical one right there. Isn't that nice? All right, I'm going to go give these a good rinse, and then we're going to chop them on up. The #2 carrots from Azure are a lot cheaper than the #1s, and so I always just buy them. And some months they're like tiny little carrots. Some months they're huge, big carrots. And really, it doesn't matter to us. We just eat them all the same. They're like around $1 a pound, I believe. So we're looking for the amount of about 4 large carrots. There was only one time that I had a bad experience with the #2 carrots, and it was because a bag of salt was above my bag of carrots on the truck, and somehow the bag of salt was punctured, and apparently so were my carrots. And I just dumped salt into the center of my carrot bag, and all of them were just gross. They were slimy, gross, and or dried out. Just dried it right on out. So gross. All right, I'm gonna grab a couple more carrots because that's not 4 medium carrots worth. And we're gonna get them chopped, and then we're gonna talk about that ketchup. I was really happy with how much it cost. All right, I'm gonna rinse these off. We had the possibility of some pretty severe storms last night, but they went around us, which I feel sorry for the people that got it, but I'm so extremely grateful that we did not get the baseball-sized hail and 75-mile-an-hour winds. I was just thinking, oh man, I hope our goats get into a shelter. I hope nothing hits my car. You know, all those thoughts that go into your mind. All right. So we're bringing this to a boil to cook the vegetables. Of course, those beans are already cooked, so they're just going to get extra soft. If you want like a firmer type of bean, you could reduce the cooking time on your Instant Pot and go from there. But we don't mind nice soft beans, so I'm just going to kind of double cook them. And the very, very last ingredient, I think, oh no, we need salt. Aha, can't forget salt. We need 2 teaspoons of salt. This is a half of a teaspoon, so I'm going to do 4. Now, once again, I mentioned this last week as well. Make sure that you're using healthy salt. Okay, so we're looking for colored salt. Pink Himalayan salt is great. Celtic sea salt is great. That's great. The Real Salt brand makes amazing salt out of Utah. The reason why I want colored salt is because the color on the salt are minerals, and those minerals help your body to process the salt. They help you to utilize the salt in the proper way with your body. So when you're buying white table salt, they've already stripped all of these minerals out, and they're giving you what's left. And so that's why salt causes so many people so many problems, is because the actual whole ingredient of the colored salt, the color has been removed. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to give this a good stir here. So this is the consistency of the soup is really, really good right now. It's not too brothy and it's not too chunky, but we're going to be adding 4 cups of cooked chicken to this. I'm going to wait to add the cooked chicken until everything is soft, because if you add cooked chicken to the pot right now, it's going to all shred on out and there's not going to be many chunks left. So I'm going to wait. This is the very, very last ingredient. And so I'm going to add a little bit more broth to this. I'm going to add a couple more cups. So if you're going to add chicken, I would go with about 8 cups of broth. There we go. Perfect. And then this is just going to boil until those veggies are nice and soft. And then I'll dump those 4 cups of chicken right into there, and then it's done. All right, so let's talk ketchup. I'm going to go get one of the jars to show you guys. I calculated it all out. So when I shopped around to get a price on the ketchup, like a price comparison, this was about $4 a jar to make. However, this is organic, this is sugar-free, this is MSG-free, and it's being canned in glass. So when I shopped around, there was only one brand that's even similar to this, and it's in plastic. And that is by, what's the name of that brand? I can see it in my face, but in my mind, I just can't pull it out. But anyway, it's on Azure, and they have, you know, all the good things. But it's in plastic. And theirs was more expensive than this. It was $4.89, I think, for the same quantity of ketchup. So this comes in right at $4. But if you're looking for an apples to apples comparison, Azure sells organic, only sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, no MSG, no unidentified spices in the ingredients list, in a glass jar for $8.94. So if you're going to compare apples to apples, $4 instead of $8 and some odd is a great price. So anyway, I made up a bunch of this using, once again, this tomato powder. And if you want that recipe, I actually read off all the ingredients in our last live, and it is time-stamped in the description box. So jump over to last week's live and then hit that description box and then just push the timestamp, and it'll take you and it will read off all of the ingredients. So anyway, that is the tomato powder. I do plan on making, like I said, homemade barbecue sauce with this. If you were to make just straight tomato products like tomato sauce and tomato paste, this makes it super, super cheap. And all you're adding is water. I love it when they send it in the Mylar bags because it seems to stay better longer than when they send it into the paper bags. I think it's a moisture issue personally. But anyway, I just love this stuff, and even if you're a gardener, to have some of this on hand allows you to have a not so good crop one year and still be able to get some of the tomato products that you desire for your family. And this stuff is so easy. It's just mixing all of the ingredients in, filling your jars, putting lids on, and canning it, and that's it. There's no boiling down. There's no thickening time. There's no de-seeding. There's no, all of that work is gone, and all you gotta do is buy tomato powder. So anyway, go check out that list of ingredients in last week's live. I'm gonna give this a stir real quick. And if you have a question, type it down below. This is probably going to simmer, I would guess, at least 20 minutes, maybe 30. Just depends on how long it takes that the carrots and the celery to get soft. Anyway, other than that, let's see what else. What are the updates? So I said in the beginning that if you order one of the cookbooks, see all my mess? We live here. Isn't it nice? It's not picture perfect behind me. If you order one of my cookbooks on the pre-order, the printer has everything now and is starting the process of getting them ready to print and hopefully printing them this week. And then I'm hoping, since they're only one state away, that they ship next week. And if that's the case, then you guys can expect your cookbooks to be at your house soon. So that would be awesome. And then, like I said at the beginning, if you missed the pre-sale, but you still want one, they're only $18.99, you guys. The link is down below. It's over 230 nutrient-dense recipes, kid-approved from scratch recipes. And also inside that cookbook are my fermentation recipes, which are the ones I'm going to be showing you guys how to do in the live class on Saturday night. So it's important to have that cookbook for that reason alone, is to have those recipes. The dill pickles are amazing. My mom does not like fermented food at all. Like, no. And she loves these pickles. She'll sit and eat the whole jar of pickles. So it's a great way to get those probiotics into your family, and affordable if you grow your own cucumbers or go to the farmer's market. So keep that in mind. Let's see, what else did I say? I'm not sure. Oh, if you're watching the live right now, or if you're watching the playback later, If a later time at night works better for you, like we've had between 9 and 12 people consistently on here tonight, which is like pretty high numbers, which is great. And if you can share the lives with your friends, that's great as well. I don't get paid at all for these lives, but if my lives can reach more people live that have questions about cooking nutrient-dense foods, that's what I want to do. So if the earlier time never works for you and you're frustrated and you wish it was later, maybe once in a while, will you just comment down below and let me know, and then I can kind of weigh out things. But we've got lots of good viewers on tonight. So does anybody have any questions while you've got my attention? And like I said, I'm just going to boil this and then add the 4 cups of chicken. A lot of my classes have cooked chicken. And the reason why is because we grow all of our chicken here on the farm. And I only have 2 freezers. And so to save space and to make lots of broth to can up, I use a large roaster, which is still right over there on the table. That red thing right there. And I cook down the chickens in some water. So I make like a meat stock broth thing. And then I can that up. And then we debone the chicken and we freeze it. So that's why a lot of my chickens during the class are all cooked already, because we are trying to save on freezer space by cooking them down and then storing them in like a freezer bag. So that's why they're always cooked. But this is going to get added as soon as all of those ingredients are nice and soft inside the pot over here, which I said would be about 20 to 30 minutes. Let's see, what else? Like I said before, it's time to start your tinctures. This is an aronia berry tincture. So essentially it's aronia berries that have been filled to here, and then you submerge and pour in vodka. And this will be done, I'm not sure when it will start on 8/7. So 6 weeks later. And so this just sits out on the counter. It's okay if the berries float. It's okay if the berries sink. But this is a great cold and flu tonic. It's just time to get started on all of that. And depending on the fermentation class, if a lot of you guys show up on Saturday and there's lots of people in person, I may ask to give some more classes at that church. They have a large building, a nice large room for me with a commercial kitchen that I could give in-person classes, and I could give more classes to you guys because I can use their Wi-Fi to hook into my channel, and you guys can get classes for free as well. So depending on the turnout on Saturday, so if you guys can watch, please do. I may do more classes on like making herbal tinctures or herbal remedies. There's a dear friend of mine, Lynn. I might team up with her, and her and I can teach people how to make natural remedies for their families. So anyway, that's all coming up. Big dreams. We'll see how big it gets. So if you guys can attend, join us on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Other than that, I'm going to check the comments. I think I'm caught up. Rhonda, I'm so glad that you made a live show. It's been so long. That's great. And you too, Jenny. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me. And make sure you guys share this video. Like I said, I'm not monetized, but the more people who are reached with how easy it is to make a dinner, the better. We have got to get back to making things from scratch, especially with inflation and just the way things are going with our food chain in America. We need to learn these very, very valuable skills of how to cook from scratch so that we can still provide for our families even if we can't buy things from a box, okay? Thank you, Sharon. All right, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys hopefully on Saturday at 7 p.m. All right, see you then.